Battleline Podcast, episode 44. TruthSeekah coming on. Ian Scotto here with you this episode. Chris is out. He'll be back next week, but keep listening. I don't want you guys to tune out because it's just me here. There's a lot of interesting stuff we're going to get into. And before we do, I just wanted to let you guys know about CBD, Ned in particular. We have more and more listeners checking out Ned, and they're great. CBD has become extremely popular in the past year, making it more and more difficult to navigate and choose the right company and product. That's where Ned comes in. They produce the highest quality full spectrum CBD extracted from organically grown hemp plants, all sourced from an independent farm in Paonia, Colorado. Ned is a wellness brand offering science-backed and nature-based solutions that offer an alternative to prescription and over-the-counter drugs, zero isolates, no synthetic ingredients, and full transparency. Ned shares third-party lab reports, who farms their products, their extraction process, all right there on their website. Some of the benefits: it's used as a sleep aid, also used to treat insomnia, an anti-inflammatory, a natural pain reliever, and used to treat anxiety and post-traumatic stress, used to treat depression, and a rich source of antioxidants. We actually just had a listener who bought from Ned the body butter and is loving it because they've been working out and they're having some issues on their joints, and it's helping them out. The CBD is great and it really helps you get a great night's sleep, wake up refreshed. And I've been speaking a lot about on recent episodes the Immunity Blend, which is a limited release, a powerful blend of botanicals, herbs, and fungi that offer functional immune support. It's got things like elderflower and ginger, which you can look up the benefits of individually. All right there. I take it every day. I've been seeing awesome results and just feeling healthy. And, in this time, what they're doing with this, more important than ever, and the money for the Immunity Blend is going to a great cause. 100% of profits for that Immunity Blend are donated to EcoHealth Alliance in their fight to prevent pandemics and promote conservation. So great cause right there. Ned products, the CBD in particular, do contain a minuscule amount of THC, less than 0.3% as allowed by law. This level of THC makes Ned full spectrum hemp a non-psychotropic, meaning it will not get you high despite the trace amounts of THC in full spectrum hemp. It is possible to fail a drug test even at low serving sizes. So if your livelihood depends on it, we strongly advise against using ingestible hemp products. However, the Immunity Blend, which is awesome, you could take that and have great results. So with our promo code, Battleline, you're going to get 15% off your first purchase if it's a one-time order, or 20% off your first membership purchase where you subscribe and save, and there's all different types of perks. You could read about that on the website. So if you want to check out Ned and try their CBD or any of their other products for yourself, we have a special offer for our podcast audience. Go to helloned.com/Battleline or enter Battleline at checkout once again for 15% off your first order, or 20% off your first subscription order, plus free shipping. That's helloned.com/Battleline to get 15% off your first one-time order, or 20% off your first subscription order, plus free shipping. Thank you, Ned. And with subscription orders that are already discounted 15% off the one-time purchase, your discount code will then add 5% off for a total of 20% off all subscription orders. Once again, check it out now, helloned.com/Battleline. And as always, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through fortscottmunitions.com, FortScottmunitions.com. I like to spell it out because you might think it's ammunitions or ammunition. It's Fort Scott Munitions. Use exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. And I actually had a listener who was doing the subscription, the auto ship, and he was like, why is my promo code not working? Apparently does not work on auto ship orders. So just so you know, probably because of the volatility of the market right now. I mean, everybody is stocking up. That's why you go to the website and a lot of things are sold out, but a lot of things are also not sold out. But that's why I say go there right now, because no matter what you're shooting, there's something probably for you, but it's going to be gone soon is all I'm saying. So use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. Let's do this.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on, motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline Podcast.
The switch is on. Special guest TruthSeekah is back on this episode. Great to have him joining us again. I can't believe that we're 44 episodes in. It is crazy. You know, I feel like time has flown with this, and we've had such a wide array of people on. But there was a lot of stuff I didn't get to talk about with TruthSeekah the first time, and hopefully we'll cover some of that this episode. I wanted to talk to you guys about, you probably saw us repost this GoFundMe. I know there's a huge cross-section of people who listen to the Team House with Jack Murphy, who's been on the podcast, former Green Beret, Army Ranger, journalist, and Dave Park, who is also a former Army Ranger, among a lot of other things. New York City right now is crazy, and I know people want to speculate as to who attacked Dave, and I don't know. None of us really know all the details right now, but I can tell you, man, I've lived around this area pretty much my whole life. Timing right now is pretty crazy with everything going on. And the positive, though, is the outpouring of support for Dave. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just read what Jack wrote here on the GoFundMe. David Park, and this is coming from Jack, David Park is a friend, a brother, a decorated veteran, author, and many other things throughout his incredible life. On Wednesday evening, and this was last week, Dave was taking the L train from his home in Brooklyn to his job in Manhattan. While sitting and reading, someone came up from behind him and smashed Dave in the back of his head with a rock. Dave was knocked unconscious for a second, but came to and began to struggle with his would-be killer, who continued to rain down blows on his head. Dave is a tough guy. He served as a Navy hard hat diver, was a sniper in the 75th Ranger Regiment, is a former Marine, and deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq as a contractor where he saw combat. Despite having been knocked out, Dave tackled his attacker to the ground. When the subway stopped at the next station, the attacker fled. Dazed and incoherent, Dave somehow picked himself up and stumbled to the police station to report that he had been attacked. He soon began vomiting from his head trauma, and NYPD helped him get medical attention, I should say. Dave uses Veterans Affairs for his healthcare needs, but in this case, the ambulance would only take him to a regular hospital. Doctors examined him and found multiple skull fractures and busted orbital bone, traumatic brain injury, TBI, and that he is deaf in 1 year from the attack. So this is insane, guys. His TBI has been downgraded and his injuries are not life-threatening. However, we will likely need multiple surgeries to repair what has been done to him. NYPD has been to see Dave numerous times and is serious about catching the perpetrator. While law enforcement and healthcare providers have done a terrific job to help Dave, the fact remains that he is going to have extensive medical treatment. He's going to have extensive medical bills to pay for arising from his transportation and stay in the hospital, in addition to whatever he has to pay out of pocket for surgery. I am a friend of Dave and initially met him through the Ranger Network in New York City. And then he goes on, I think this is kind of cut off here because I printed this out, but this is a crazy scenario. The positive, once again, though, is that people really stepped up. And I'd have to look at what the current, because it didn't print out, but the current amount of donations, the original goal was $1,500, and they completely shot past that. And as far as I know, I don't know if I'm correct on this, but I would believe it's going to pay for everything that Dave needs and more. And that's why Dave wrote something himself where he was like, look, I'm not trying to reach out to other veterans networks to get money, because he's like, I got a great support system and I'd rather have those funds go to someone who doesn't. But this is a guy who, as I said there, combat vet, and could really use people's help during this time, but he's going to be okay, and he has been discharged. All right, so they have reached $33,795 of an originally $1,500 goal. So I believe that's going to pay for everything Dave needs and more. But, this is a guy who, once again, not only does a great live stream with Jack, but served this country and was cowardly and viciously attacked, and hopefully we find out who does that. But it's David Parks medical bills on GoFundMe. And like I said, I'm glad to see that people have really stepped up, and it's just good to see that right now people care about veterans in need and are there to help when something like this happens. Hope everybody's been staying positive through all this. It's a crazy time. And I was reading an article from James Altushore, who I had the pleasure of interviewing a while back, maybe 2 years back at this point. And he's talking about how New York City is dead and it's never coming back. And that might be like a gloom and doom outlook, but he makes a pretty good argument. And I see it happening, and I'm seeing it through major cities throughout the U.S. This is just a very uncertain time for people, as cliche as it is to say. But, during times like this, and I know Chris talks about it, basically navigating your way and making a way to make things happen. I haven't been able to work out here in New York City, but I actually have been driving out to Connecticut to work out a few times a week, because that's the only way to get inside an actual gym. And I don't even know when gyms will be, no one does, when gyms will be open back here, and I'll be training people again and that stuff. But I've been, more focused on both this podcast and doing voiceover and all that type of stuff. With that, I'm going to bring it over to TruthSeekah, who I'm really excited to have on. Once again, before we get to him, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through fortscottmunitions.com. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of this podcast, the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. So back on the show, second appearance. You're the second person to have a second appearance because I always like talking to you. TruthSeekah from the TruthSeekah podcast, independent music artist, author of Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God. And honestly, so many more things. I mean, the men's retreats and everything. Like, it would take a while to give you a proper intro of all the things you really do. But great to have you back, man.
Always cool to hang out with you. Always cool to talk with you. Enjoyed our first talk. And you know what? I should have worn my T-shirt, the T-shirt that you guys sent me, which I've been rocking. It fits really good. Like, I really like the fit, been working out and it's like right on. Thanks for the T-shirt.
That's a good endorsement here. And it's funny. I could tell you've been working out, man, because I remember and this is probably because I've been following your podcast for a few years now, probably a year to a year and a half ago, you were talking about changing your diet up, working out again, and you look great.
Yeah. I mean, consistency is key. I know you're a big gym guy.
Yeah. And
transformation and sticking with it too. Not even you can't take much time off from it because it you can tell really quick. But yeah, enjoy it. I feel great, man. And just the endorphins and everything that's released in your body and mental health connected with it. Like, everything is connected with taking care of the temple. So I really enjoy working out here lately.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think people don't really get it until they actually do it themselves. For a lot of people, it sounds, I don't know. I think that they have
sounds like work.
Yeah, they have a stigma though about going to the gym, and they think it's all about the vanity and just making yourself look a certain way. And yeah, actually a lot of the times when I'm working out, I'm in a meditative state, and I know Chris says the same thing where for 10 minutes, I could be wait, I don't even know what 3 songs I just listened to because I'm so in the zone.
Yeah. Just the thing where people don't know that they're missing out. I think it's the same way with healthy eating kind of comes in with it. I tell people straight up, I'm like, if you have never had, and especially if your diet's bad, fast food, just the American diet, if you've never had a green smoothie packed with a bunch of nutrient rich foods, and then you drank a green smoothie, I felt like I got high. My body was thanking me. I felt so good just after downing a green smoothie. I felt really good. I'm telling people, listen, you don't know that you're feeling bad right now. We've gotten used to feeling this way, whether it's sluggish or not having enough energy. You're doing really well. Going off of whatever strength or energy it is that you're used to, but that's your normal. That's your new normal. And you don't even know that there's more potential, there's more brain power, there's more body chemistry and problem solving skills. There's so much that you're missing out on because of your diet and because of working out and stuff like that. So
did you hate it at first though? Because, all the stuff that we've been conditioned to eat, the McDonald's and all that, it is much like social media, much like many other things in American culture. It's designed to be addicting. Green smoothies are great for you, but it doesn't have that addictive property to it.
Yeah. I look at it more, and this is a funny analogy, but almost like a RPG video game. You need to put these things in your body for it again to upgrade, to go to the next level, to the different smoothies, the things that you're putting in it, making this alchemical process of what type of smoothie we're going to do. And so for me, I felt and feel immediate results from it. And then again, on the fast food stuff, I feel immediate results from that of feeling sluggish and feeling tired and wanting to feeling like I throw up and overeat just because it's good and knowing I shouldn't feel guilty versus the opposite, feeling good about myself, feeling more confident, having that energy. So for me, it's even though there is that battle again with the war and programming and addiction, it's easy and it smells good and they play off of the senses and put the right dyes and colors in it. Even though that's a war in the mind and in the body, I think it helps because I do feel results. Even after slacking off from working out for a week or two, we took a break and I felt my body just kind of flabbing again and just kind of losing the definition. I hit the gym one time, me and a buddy, we were working out. And after one time, it's like muscle memory. The definition just starts coming back after one workout. And I'm like, okay, yeah, there's some results. So if you was to do it and not see any results, which you got to look for them, but they're there. So I think that the results help on both sides, the good results or the bad results. Pick which one you want.
It's true because gyms have been completely locked down here in New York the entire time. And I decided, you know what? I am going to drive to Connecticut regularly to go to a gym because I am missing this part of my life. I mean, I've been doing home workouts and all that, but it's not the same. And I thought I was going to be ridiculously weak. I have lost some muscle. I have lost some strength, but it's nowhere near the amount that I imagined. So I know exactly what you're saying. And also just feeling that you're missing something after just a few days away. Like I remember one guy who was a trainer at UFC gym, which I was going to, and a boxing coach, he would say 7 days away from the gym makes 1 week. It's true. It's very true, man.
Oh, I've heard that in the Christian sense. What is it? 7 days away from God or not reading your Bible, makes 1 week. And you give the devil an inch 12 times, he becomes a ruler. Those little...
Yeah, and people will be like, "Oh, it's that's corny or something," but a lot of those cliches are true. You know what I wanted to ask you about though? So the last time we spoke to you, when it was Chris and I, Chris is going to be back next week. He's just been busy with other stuff, but but it's not just going to become the Ian Scotto podcast for those listening. But last time we had you on, it was like 5 months ago, I think, and in those 5 months, literally everything has changed. And I don't even really want to necessarily get into coronavirus, but what I think is just interesting is where society is going from here, whether it's intended or unintended. I'm in New York City right now, and it is a ghost town. And I just read this piece from James Altucher, and he's like, New York City is dead, and it's never coming back. And I actually feel like as a whole, the entire nation is vibrating at a very low frequency. We don't have that interaction with each other. And I'm not even saying like whether this was the right move or not, but I just think when people are in their own little dwelling, no interaction with other people in society, no touch, it's not a good place to be. I do think you're going to see a huge increase in depression and also the people who are saying, I like it like this. I like that I could just stay in my house and everything can be done for me. I don't think that is like a recipe for a good society and commingling with each other. I think is so important.
Yeah, there's so much to say when it comes to that, man. But I would say the hardest part was the first 14 days, the lockdown of 14 days, and then they increased it for 2 months, a month, and it was different. It's different than it is now, especially in the South. We're open, man. Like for the most part, there's some of the gyms are open. Some are, half capacity, 6 foot distance, clean up and stuff like that. And, which is interesting, but right when it happened, it was scary. I was really big on speaking like against, conspiracy theories for, a few weeks before any of this stuff hit. I was like, okay, guys, be careful when it comes to conspiracy theories, because I was the master of them back in the mid 2000s, 2008.
It's funny you say that because I do feel the exact same way as what you're saying. And it's like, people could look like we've had Alex Jones on the show. I like to speak to Alex. He's an interesting guy. I'm very anti-censorship and deplatforming people. Yeah, but I'm also very against spreading misinformation that could hurt people. So I know where
half-truths.
Yeah.
Because they become your truths, even if they're not real. And which can lead to like panic, hysteria, end of the world scenarios. And it's not the end of the world, but for you, in your mind, it's coming to an end. It's over. We're all getting chipped. We're receiving the mark. In these crazy scenarios from people who were like, would never be into those things. Now they are because of COVID and because of the crazy stuff. And so it was hard. It is hard. People are going through it right now, and there's uncertainty, and we're in weird times right now. But my big thing as a spiritual leader and a teacher is like just to maintain your peace. Yeah. Like that peace that you have through your spiritual practice, your connection with God, reading the scriptures, whatever it is, your meditation practice that brings you peace. This is when it comes to play. If it like when everything's going good, you're a spiritual dude. That's cool. But it's when everything hits the wall, do you still maintain your level of peace, your level of humility? And a lot of people are going through it. We're seeing pastors, dude. I got pastors hitting me up, friends of mine. They don't know what to do. They had to close their churches, man. you know, and that's what
I know people,
their livelihood, you know?
Yeah, and I know like we're finding these alternatives with, you know, what we're doing right now. There's Skype, there's Zoom, and all of that is great. But there is, I think, something to being, you know, in the same room as someone.
Yeah.
And I genuinely don't want to lose that. And like the James Altucher piece I was talking about is saying how, you know, we could do things so much more efficiently with Skype and with Zoom. And you've seen that because you do your podcast and almost all of your interviews are remote. You know, which is great, and I think it's important to strike a balance. But it's funny. I listen to a lot of Fear Factory. I know you listen to a lot of different music, but every Fear Factory album is about like man versus machine, what makes us human. And I genuinely think like we're becoming one with technology, and I am not for that. I am someone who likes to be out in nature, experiencing things in person with each other. I do not want, you know, because I lived a lot of my life behind a computer and afraid to get out. And I worked through a lot in myself to be a little bit more of a open person and open to new experiences. And I think, you know, because I don't know if you are, but I'm generally pretty introverted. And I think we're raising a society right now of extreme introverts, and I don't think I'm whether it's intended or not. I don't think that's good for society.
My daughter, and she's in high school, and so they just had a thing in class, and the teacher asked them, "Okay, how many of you guys have ever broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend via text message?" And everybody's like raised their hand who's had a date or whatever, dating. And how many of you ever broke up with a person in real life? And they're like, there's that social interaction's done. It's, you know, subject to just sending a text or whatever for communication, especially those social awkwardness. I mean, that's a big thing that's changing. Courting a girl, to take them out for dinner, going out on a date, spending money on a nice meal to hopefully maybe get a kiss at the end of the night or whatever. Now that's gone. Now there's an app. Yeah. Swipe right, swipe left. Would you do me? I'll do you. Swipe right, swipe left, swipe right. And literally there's that social interaction of having game and, hey, what's up? And, you know, looking the part, dressing nice, whatever it is that we're trying to impress people. That's changing. The generation under us don't know anything about that. It's through social medias, maybe through Instagram or Tinder or Grindr or whatever. We're changing as a people. And again, the deal with, I was super against it. Yeah. You know, I fought against it and, you know, looked at it as a threat, but we're headed there. It is the inevitable. But I think a key is a balance to what you said, though, is still keeping your feet on the ground and literally putting your feet in the ground and staying connected with nature and with the water and with the sun and with the birds and the animals and the forest and things like that. But still part of us being this AI, this cell phone addicted people that we have to have it or we panic with if we leave it at home and all of that kind of stuff. And so it is the inevitable and to deny, I think that the sad thing is when we look at it as something that's coming versus something that's already here. Mm-hmm. Like we're already there. Again, these interviews and getting paid on the card. I don't get paid by cash anywhere, you know. And so now they're talking about a cashless society. Hey, I'm cool. I don't want cash. I want you to deposit. When somebody tries to pay me in cash, it is a hassle because now I got to get the money and I got to put it in my bank and try to deposit it and all that kind of stuff. So we're changing as a people, as a species, man. We are merging with the machines, but I do think that holding on to humanity and connecting with nature is a must. There's definitely a balance.
It's a tough thing. Everything you're saying is true, and a big part of it is I've heard David Cho, the artist, say this in a podcast he did. You can't. Technology always wins. You can't beat technology. So you and I could be against it, but it's headed there anyway. So it's like, how do we adapt? And even beyond the things you're saying with the dating apps and all that, I mean, you know, we're a society that's now, it's like, you don't even need to go out and meet someone because, and you and I have talked about this, people are addicted to porn on the internet. I mean, this device we have in our phone, it's like, it's a portal to everything. Everything negative you want, everything positive you could want too.
Yep. everything. You get your social interaction out of it. You get your sexual fulfillment. You get your business. Like everything is connected in that phone. And it's cutting us off from, again, feeling human and being around people. Going back to when COVID first hit, those 14 days were rough, which the 14 days that turned into a month that kept going until like, hold on, y'all got to open stuff back up. Like,
and for you guys, that's for you guys. For here, it's been, months upon months. So,
I know, right?
Yeah.
So it was scary and it was sad to even think like, I may not be able to go do karaoke and have margaritas with my friends and enjoy Mexican again. Like we love that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can't wait to go sit at a restaurant and tell jokes with my friends and make them laugh, because we stayed away from everybody. Like we wouldn't invite nobody. It took a long time until it was like, okay, can we be around other people? They really painted this picture and they still are perpetuating it. Like, hey, you might be one. You might have it. We can't be around you. We heard you have it. They got apps and stuff that they want us to download that will tell you when you've been in proximity of somebody who had COVID.
Yeah, and some of which are already on your phone and you didn't even download it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Not even if they had it, but even if you're a second contact. Like if you came in contact with the person and then I came in contact with you, it will alert me, hey, Ian doesn't have it, but he was around someone who did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Like signaling these people to be, it's just wild where we're headed. It's crazy what they're trying to do.
And that's why I do think it's pretty cool that you're doing these men's retreats, which we could probably get into. And they're pretty out there for people not in the know of what you do. And they might be like, this sounds crazy. But from what I've seen, it is about making that human connection one-on-one, that connection with the earth, that connection with God. I personally have never experimented with any psychedelics or any of that stuff. And, for you, I know that there's a lot of positive to them, and I don't have that negative stigma because I know a lot of these plant medicines, as you would probably prefer to call them, are getting people off the opioids and the actual addictive drugs out there. The drugs that are actually doing the harm.
Yeah. Yeah, with the men's retreat, I mean, we had to postpone the second one. I just started them at the beginning of the year, but the second one got postponed a couple months because of COVID. But even with that, it feels like whatever we're doing, whether it is, and there's not even much psychedelics that we're doing, just because it's still illegal here. So we're taking some other plant medicines that really help you tap in and things like that. But we're doing a lot of breath work, meditation and prayer, and then going into the forest, going hiking. And the biggest thing everyone seemed to take away from the first two that we've done already is just the camaraderie of being around like-minded people. Because again, with the internet, I'm connected with people all over the world through my podcast and through everything that I put out, my book and Instagram, all that. It's cool. I love it. Right. But we are missing the human interaction. So to see these people who are connected all over the world, literally coming together for a little retreat like this for really a night, come spend a night together in a full day. That's the biggest thing that they're taking away is like, wow, I'm not alone. And I've got some other guys out there who are just like me, who I can talk to, and I can be open and honest about my story and my situation and not really be judged or anything like that. So not even what we were doing, the impact's coming upon just hosting it and getting everybody to show up. And they're just like, these people who are just like you, because people feel marginalized and we feel separated, and we, especially in the spiritual community and spiritual awakening and religion and all that stuff, and your religion separates you versus bringing you together, those kind of things. And so that's what's been like the most powerful or had the most impact. And literally tomorrow is our next one. We have people driving and flying in from all over the country to come to Alabama to go into the woods and do a spiritual retreat. So it's been amazing, just that camaraderie, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like it's amazing. And I do think there's something to being able to open up with new people in person. You could find an online forum and community for everything nowadays. But I could tell you, man, when I was at my lowest, I actually called you at one point, and you really helped me out. But probably the thing, to be honest, that helped me out the most was my best friend. I went out and went on a walk with him, and we talked for a couple of hours, and it put me back to earth. And I think we're missing a lot of that. And a lot of people are ashamed of, I can't talk about this, I'm going to be judged for this. And I think, to get rid of that stigma and be able to talk about anything with like-minded people who know that there is a higher power and that they are forgiven for the things they did and there is new life ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because literally that's what we're doing. They're coming there. We're gonna go for a hike, and we're just gonna like get to know each other. And it's just the biggest thing of just setting it up. And it's not even doing much. I don't even have to do much. I'm just facilitating it and just kind of letting it organically happen. And so confession is big, dude. I do a lot of healing circles and one-on-one sessions, and just letting people get stuff off their chest, man, is huge. Like even stuff that people that can't even talk to their wives and spouses about, that they can open up to this minister or a healer or some random podcaster on the internet that they look up to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so they can get things off their chest that they won't be judged or looked at as crazy or silly because they believe in or hold near and dear to their heart, be laughed at, ridiculed and stuff.
I mean, especially you, I've read your book. You talk about a lot of things in there that people will be like, this guy is nuts. He's seeing things. And it's pretty brave to be able to put that onto paper and say, this is my truth. This is what I actually experienced. And I'm not afraid to talk about it.
I had to. Early on, it wasn't easy. It's easy now. Now I make a living doing it. I am that guy. But early on, owning your story and owning your truth. I was working a full-time job and my friends were like, hey man, you better not talk about that. Your boss finds that episode of that podcast and we're on jobs where the coworker would hear it and show it to the boss. Hey, they're talking about going do mushrooms on the, in the woods, and he's a employee of the company. He represents our company, and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, early on, I had other friends who were spiritual and very moved, but they would not talk about it. They couldn't talk about it. They got their in the community, people know them, people know their even their wives, like, because it's going to reflect on their wife. We kind of went through that, watch what you post online, because my wife is in the public eye and she does different things and she's more of a professional than what I do. So owning that though, of like, what, this is my truth. And I feel like if I'm hiding it from the world, or I can't be myself, or I have to be ashamed of what's the things that bring me joy and stuff like that, then that's not the answer. The answer is authenticity, owning your story, being vulnerable. And you're starting to see a lot of people do that now, and owning their truth, whatever that is.
Yeah, you talk a lot about in the book, like the whole cancel culture, and that ties into all of that.
Yeah,
I think
brought it up.
Yeah, nowadays, unless you are completely self-employed and financially secure, you do have to watch what you put out there. I was actually just talking about it here with the engineer at Gotham, but like, you've probably seen it because we were connected on everything. I'm starting to withdraw from social media, other than stuff for the podcast. It's partially because of that, partially because of the amount of negativity out there. But I know exactly where you're coming from, and I actually advocate for people, like, if they are employed and need this job in order to support their family, have whatever beliefs you want, but I personally would probably say keep it off the internet and talk about it amongst people that you could trust and you're friends with, because it's not worth losing, your living for. And if you could find a way to make a living on your own where you could be as open and vulnerable publicly as you want, then more power to you. But yeah, we're definitely living in a society where you say the wrong thing and you got to go out there and apologize, or you're going to lose your job.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was a Christian minister, bro, when I started having these supernatural encounters that didn't fit that mold, and I started talking about it and posting it on the internet. And these were people I was supposed to go minister at churches. And then I do a podcast about the Kundalini, and they want me to come lead worship in the group. And so they hear us talking about UFOs and hold on. So even though on this of me being a Christian evangelist, there's still things you can and can't talk about. At least in their book, because they don't believe it or whatever. So I definitely, it was a hard transition for me to be open and honest, but it's again the truth, man. The name that I chose for myself, TruthSeekah, like, it's not truth holder backer, but it's not being in your face or being arrogant with it. It's like, if you believe it, it becomes your truth, and finding a way again to do it in a way that is honoring other people, and it's not like, taunting your truth in their face and what you believe, because that gets into political stuff and all types of crazy ideas of that are polarizing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's a big step, and finding those people that you can talk to, Discord, your communities, they're big right now. They're blowing up. Churches and all businesses all over the world are trying to do right now what we've been doing for the last couple of years. This, having this online global community, and now it's, the thing to do now.
Yeah. You know what I wanted to ask you about? This kind of connects to the retreat and the psychedelics thing, because I watched it actually over this quarantine. It came out. Are you familiar with the ibogaine? Because I know you are with ayahuasca and all that.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that? Because I saw there's a documentary that Mark Bell did, the same guy who did Bigger, Faster, Stronger. He did Prescription Thugs. He did, I think it's like a 15-minute short documentary you could watch on YouTube called Ibogaines. And he was saying that he had major injuries from being a power lifter. He was addicted to different things in technology. He was a former drug addict, but now his addiction was more, he was like, anything on this phone. He's like, and he talked about porn or all that stuff. He's like, yeah, became addicted to it. And he did this ibogaine trip, and they've talked about how ibogaine has gotten people who are like years of heroin use off of heroin. And he said, yeah, those dopamine receptors, like, my injuries are gone, my addictions are gone. And to me, as someone who's never experienced any of this, it does sound too good to be true. And it's being kind of withheld from the public, this information. They're making it sound like you take ibogaine, you could die. I just wanted to hear your perspective on it, because very interesting documentary for people who haven't seen it. It's short.
Yeah, well, so I'm not an expert on it. I've never done it, but most of these things are very similar. Literally, when I was doing my research and I did the psilocybin, like hero dose of psilocybin, after doing a smaller dose a couple months before, I thought I knew what I was getting into, but when I did the hero dose of psilocybin, it looked like a ayahuasca retreat. Like, I didn't know it was going to be that deep, like pulling you on this journey, like to being taken on this spiritual journey within. It was kind of scary, but what I experienced from that was very similar to what a lot of people experience on ayahuasca, and I hear the same thing about the ibogaine, the iboga. Of just finding that healing and going within. And so I think the plants are here to work with us to heal. I think that there's something out there to treat our symptoms, and, pushing that reset button, going into deep inner healing is going in and reprogramming the brain and having a different outlook, a different relationship with your past, to really where you kind of clear it and heal it up and not act like it didn't happen, but you're able to see it from another perspective. And I think for me, that's been the beautiful thing with psilocybin, is that I've been able to get a different perspective on my life, on my hurt, on being a failure, on whatever it is that or your hangups that you don't tell nobody. It knows the things that you've been suppressing, the things that you're scared of, and it's going to make you face them. And going into a ceremony like that to deal with the trauma and deal with the stuff that you ain't told nobody, and to do it with a piece of grace. It's almost like this, like you're with God, who's like telling you, look, you don't be too hard on yourself. Listen, I'm teaching you, you're learning, have fun. You went through this for a reason. I'm going to use it to better you. And here's how I'm going to do it. And you're just like in this state of you're getting taught by the universe, by God, by the angels or whatever, is a very transformative experience to go back and change literally the neurogenesis that comes from psilocybin, to not just reprogramming brain cells, but birthing new neural pathways. And you have new relationships with your past, with your trauma, with your future. Like, I have no hope for the future. I'm going to be stuck here the rest of my life. Boom, go ahead, boom. No, I got a future. I'm powerful. I have, my words are powerful. I've manifested my destiny and my life up to this far. now that I'm consciously aware that there's things that I can do to take my life back into my hands and take my health back. Like, let me do it. One of my good friend was on both of these journeys with me. He was 400 pounds. And we had a talk. We were deep in it, and we had a talk, and I said a couple things to him that really resonated with him. And
how do you say that? Because you also don't want to shame your friend for something that, has taken years, or make them feel like less of a person. Because a lot of people who are struggling with that type of thing, they feel like they're treated like they're subhuman or something because they overeat. They struggle with something different than what you struggle with, because we all have something, So
with all of that, how do you express the struggle in the way that you're coping with it, right? Whether it's the opioid addiction or the food, like you're coping with something down deep. You're getting the instant gratification. A sleeve of Oreos are great. It tastes great, but you regret it. And so anytime we try to tap into the instant gratification with those things, with drugs or even too much alcohol or whatever the case is, it never ends well. So for him, it was the food, and he was able to identify that, like what the hurt was, the things he was trying to suppress. Like that food and even that physical big body was, a lot of weightlifters. These big bodies are just hurt individuals and traumatized within. So they create this big outer shell.
I mean, especially if they're taking, because I'm very interested in that whole world. I've never taken any enhancements or anything like that, obviously, if you look at me. But, the people who take steroids, and then the people who even take, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they do site injections with oil to even make their muscles look bigger than they actually are. Yeah, you can find a lot about that on the internet. But yeah, it's all about like creating this outer shell that looks intimidating. And a lot of the guys are former, like, skinny and picked on and, called a weakling or something. And yeah, it's all about everyone. I think it's hard for them to heal from that past, and they find different ways to like mask their past. Or, I could even get into this with you, but before my grandma passed away, her sister would constantly talk about how when they were children, my grandmother was treated better and I was always treated unfairly. And like, I was able to take a step back and look at that. And it's like, these women are in their 90s and they can't get over things that happened 80 plus years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the identifying that, and plant medicines help, and counseling helps, and being open. And that's what I focus on, right? Just being open and honest about your pain, about your hurt, about your trauma. First, you got to identify it, because if not, you're going to take that into your relationships. You're going to take that into your conversations. You're going to take that into your new job. It's a character flaw, a character defect that you got to deal with. That's hurting you. So what to say? Being offended and is like, if we don't heal from being wounded and cut, even from a childhood wound, we'll bleed on people who didn't cut us, and so that's the thing. It comes into our conversation. We judge people groups. You get, you have a traumatic experience, and whether it's like, it could be anything, like, people having a bad relationship with their father who was a minister, or all ministers are this. I don't like Christians. Yeah. I've met, and literally in your mind, you probably only met 4 Christians in your life, and there's millions.
And by the way,
4 that I met were like, I did not like these people. So now all Christians are that, or all Muslims are terrorists. All Muslims want to kill you, take away your freedoms. All Democrats.
Yeah.
All Republicans believe in uneducated people,
And I'm sorry to interrupt, man, but like, that is more prominent than ever. How much are you seeing on social media? All men are trash. All women are gold diggers. And then there's the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and the people on the more extreme end of all police officers are bad. They have that ACAB tag of all cops are bastards, I think is the heading. And, and some of those people on the more crooked end, very few, they believe like all black people are, destined to a life of criminality or something. Yep. But in real life, I think there's far less of this, but social media really rewards and hypes up the more hyperbolic and the more angry the statement is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it pulls it out of people. If it's in you, it's coming out. So that's why you got to like actively go and see if it's in you and destructive, and that whether it's racism or prejudice that you have, we all have them, but we need to find out if they're healthy or unhealthy, you know, and just these preconceived notions and judgments on people. This is something I've been talking about a little bit lately, and I've just watched a beautiful documentary. I had it for handicapped people who I couldn't communicate with like I could my friends. Like I felt like they were like, whether it was second class citizens, but until the first time that I was able to listen through a speech impediment and seen an individual and like how broken I felt that I judged this person or looked at them as less than because they couldn't articulate a sentence or whatever, you know, and coming to that like, oh, wow, now you just need to shut up and listen because they're regular people and they got wisdom and experiences and joys and stuff. And you have to listen through their speech impediment or whatever. And so that was a big one. And we watched this documentary. It's called Crip Camp on Netflix. Really good. The Obamas both, I think, helped fund it and put it together. But beautiful documentary. And that was like a thing of them looked at. There was a point where we know black people looked at as outcast and less than, but handicapped people were looked at as rejects and get away from me, and you can't eat in our establishment because you're going to make our patrons feel uncomfortable. Like that was a thing. So even coming to the handicap thing and where we've come now, handicap, they had to fight to get handicap accessible ramps and all of that kind of stuff. But it's putting these stigmas on people, and you need to find out which ones that you have and what is, because they may try to talk to you and you'll pass them up. Again, whether that's a Christian, whether that's it's these boxes that people introduce themselves as. Well, I call them personas. You know, I interview people from all walks of life as well, psychics, Christians, Muslims. I mean, and I don't see that anymore. Most people on the other sides, especially the religious sides, they're scared of the other ones. Mm-hmm. They don't associate with, oh, you talk to psychics? No, I talk to people. Mm-hmm. These are people. I don't give a damn what your title is, that you're a person. And we start like judging people and putting them on pedestals or whatever, and literally they're people. So it's a big step to see past those preconceived notions and judgments that we have because of a bad experience with one awkward handicapped person that I met, you know, or one time that I got robbed by a gang of black guys, and now all black guys want to rob me. All black guys want to, you know, or all gay people are this, all gay people are that, or all straight, you know. And I think we really need to ask ourselves those questions and find out what it is. So I think the spiritual work that we're doing is like championing that work to like, okay, find those prejudice, find those ways that, hey, that's a little bit off, man. You're treating people bad. You're judging people. And so just doing the inner work, man, with all of it.
Yeah, I think being like an individualist in this society is actually the answer to a lot of problems, and not having those preconceived notions. And it is hard for some people. I think growing up here in this area, like the New York area, you're exposed to everybody. So it's a lot less of that fear, or a lot less of, I think if people watch TV, it's a lot of negative stereotypes portrayed about groups that they may not be familiar with. So they're living not even their own experience. They're living the experience of what they watch that's brought to us on television or on the internet. Yeah. And always the worst of the worst stuff is retweeted. Believe it or not, I heard Tom Green say it, but he was saying like America very much rewards bad behavior. So, you do something bad, something negative, it's going to pop up all over. I mean, dude, look at the number one song in America right now, right? It's like glorifying prostituting at yourself. It's very low energy, I would say, man. Very low vibing energy, or low frequency energy, I should say.
Well, publicity sells. Steve-O just did a publicity stunt, taping himself to a billboard, and got all the news crews and stuff watching him. But it's the negative stuff. I'll say that because he could have did something beautiful and helped somebody, and it was like, okay. Yeah, and it'll be gone. It'll be gone. Exactly. Like I remember when I think it was Akon
donated like millions to, where was it in Africa? I don't have the story off the top of my head, but you're nodding your head. You might be familiar with what I'm talking about.
So I mean, I just listened to an interview yesterday on Vlad TV. He has him on for the next week or so. And he talked about but he couldn't get any coverage.
What did he donate millions for again? I know it was in Africa.
To put wells in Africa.
That's right.
Water and electricity. And
that was very little news coverage. You know, judged by the fact that I don't even remember the full story, and that should have been a headline story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd love this. I mean, they do it on the news every now and then, but what if it was a local news that was just like 30 minutes or whatever of just like finding all the good stuff that's going on in your area versus like all the bad stuff that you wouldn't know about unless you watched it on the news. And, you know, it's just how we glorify that stuff. I mean, you know, living vicariously through that stuff and fear. And I don't know, there's a sense of comfort that we get through it as well. And seeing other people suffer and be miserable or something. I don't know, some part of the animalistic nature that we have.
Yeah. I just wish, you know, we could have more people out there doing things for good, not for social media coverage, just because that's what makes us human, man. Yeah. I mean, you know, the time I reached out to you and just you know, speaking things over with me, it made a difference. And, you know, I think we all have a purpose here, man. And it's definitely not to spread negativity.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I just did a video. Because I've seen a bunch of these videos of where they do a homeless makeover.
Yes. And I know you actually ended up doing that, right?
Yeah, we did a homeless makeover video. It's something that I've seen several videos where they're just like taking a homeless person and getting them a haircut, putting money in their pocket, buying them a hotel. Like literally, I don't have the money to do that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just put it on a GoFundMe and see. It was just like I've been talking about on the podcast. We were discussing these videos, and it was on the same subject of how they have challenges now that are like the knockout challenge.
Yeah.
Go up to a random old person or just a random person and knock them out. And there's literally young dudes walking by old ladies and recording themselves, hitting them with one punch and knocking them out and running off.
And to be fair, I do think, because I remember this, it was a few years back when it was really big. I think the media blew it out of proportion. It was real, but the media was acting like this was like a phenomenon going on everywhere. And
yeah. Well, I mean, again, we knew about it because of the media, the social media.
Yeah.
And so whatever challenges, there was the condom challenge. I mean, they're just coming up with new challenges. Condom challenge, snorting a condom. Have you seen that? And pulling it out your mouth.
I remember. Literally, I don't remember. I remember the Tide Pod challenge.
Tide Pod challenge. Yeah. There's all kinds of challenges. Most of them are negative, though.
Yeah.
And so they get coverage or whatever, and they go viral. So I'm like, well, because people would talk about like, when you help the homeless people, you shouldn't record it. You shouldn't show people that you're helping people because you're doing it for their likes or for the clicks. And maybe they are. But the thing about it is I'm like, listen, if we can do these bad challenges or these stupid challenges and make them go viral and make other people do it, how about let's do a challenge where we're doing random acts of kindness for people? So I want to do this video, put it out there. People say, well, you're not supposed to let your right hand know what your left hand doing and having your good deeds out there in front of people. But like, I would rather encourage other people to do it. Literally me watching the videos of other people doing, I was like, man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, help somebody and do it. And so I did it. And, you know, we put it out on GoFundMe and people donated. We had $1,000. And so it's like, I'm going to just find some random homeless person and we're just going to bless his socks off for the day. And you're gonna run into the right person today. And literally, we took them shopping at Walmart. Get whatever you need, bro. Clothes, food, shoes, whatever, backpack, whatever you need. And if they needed a bicycle, like whatever. And so we took them and we took them out to eat. We wanted to hear their story. This particular guy, he wasn't really talkative at all, which was interesting. So we had to talk a bunch in the video, but because he wouldn't talk much, but just to change somebody's life. That dude will never forget that day. Mm-hmm. I'm not homeless. And if you picked me up and took me and did that, I'd never forget that. And versus being a homeless person, down on their luck, no money. Hey, get in, bro. We got you today. Whatever you need. We gave him $400, bought him a hotel. Like, you'll never forget that. you know, and he's talking about like that you're loved and that you're forgotten about, and people think they're forgotten about, you know. So just a little random act of kindness, and film it and hang it out, and just like a vlog. And we're gonna do another one soon.
That's awesome. And did you get any update from him since then, or?
He was traveling through.
Yeah.
He was so it wasn't like he was a local that we can go visit him and stuff. He was traveling through. Even with the hotel, we wanted to buy him a couple nights. I was going to get him 3 nights in the hotel, but he wasn't trying to hang around. He was trying to get to California. So he said that he was going to use his money, the money that we gave him, to get a bus ticket or whatever to get to California, because he was a long ways away. So, but no follow up. Even with that, that's what a big thing people would say. Okay, what is he spending that money on? He's going to buy liquor with the money. I'm like, man, what you think I'm gonna spend it on? I'm buying liquor. You know what I'm saying? Like we judge. That judgment.
Sure.
You think they're finna buy out? You don't know what that man's finna buy. That man might haven't seen his daughter in years and goes buys her Christmas presents because now he's got money and shows up with toys. You don't know what he's gonna do.
You don't.
You know. But that's besides the point. That's between him and God what he does. You know, and so that judgment, you know, prevents us and hinders us for doing the little acts of kindness like that for people, or talking to the people who are going to judge you. We have these weird stigmas, man, that we work through, and life has a way of humbling you for sure.
Yeah, it does.
And you know, learning from those experiences.
Yeah, I know you have a hard out in like 10 minutes, so I want to make sure we get to everything. For the people wondering, like what's new with the TruthSeekah podcast, what guests are you reaching out to, and through all this, is there any way that you're evolving the show? Because I feel like whether you realized it or not, you were ahead of the curve. You know, you quit a job or left a job that was, you know, benefits and all that stuff, and you're doing your own thing via all this technology, which a lot more people have been doing in the past 3-4 months.
Yeah, it really, it's scary, you know, because being like a forerunner or whatever, we've been podcasting and doing this since like 2010, bro, you know, off and on. But, you know, it's scary because numbers are down, because now everyone has a podcast and everyone has a Patreon, because they'll look at the model and they'll see something working and they'll copy it, you know, which is good. You should. Like, right, if something's working for somebody, it could work for you. So they'll see these models and stuff that we've set up. And but as far as numbers and engagement, I kind of feel like it's scary, because you think that, okay, now like YouTube, it's crowded. YouTube can't really promote your video or recommend your video because there's 70 videos just like yours now, versus the early days of YouTube where I could do a podcast and that podcast just boom, takes off. Because of the content, because of the title, because of the thumbnail, now we have 11-year-olds doing this stuff with amazing thumbnails and stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's crowded. The market's crowded now. So I don't know. I've thought about playing with a morning show type thing, a little bit more fun, like you know how morning shows would do, and a little bit more lighthearted, and even have like certain questions that you would ask them, and videos and stuff like that to play. I've been thinking about it, but honestly, I've been working on a lot of courses lately, programs and courses to take people through on, like, you know, we talk about a lot of deep stuff on the show and a lot of spiritual truth and stuff. And so trying to articulate it in a format where people can watch a video course or whatever and get like everything that I know on this subject, whether it's something to do with spirituality, or usually in the spirituality in the Bible, whether it's prayer or even like podcasting, like courses. I'm trying to really get that out. I talk to people, they ask me how to podcast. I tell them, I give them the information, but to really have it all listed, you know, I've been working hard on courses lately, and a little bit of music here and there, so that's what I've been doing. So I got this course that I'm launching. It's the Path of the Healer course, and it teaches people how to do counseling sessions and one-on-one sessions with people, and how to literally teaches them everything, how to do a consultation with a person on a call, and then how to listen to what they're saying and write these things down that you're allowing that person to say. Again, that confession that I was talking about, just teaching these people who want to step out and use their ability to heal and artwork and everything that they're doing, whether they're a musician or podcaster, You're getting in front of people who need help. And because a lot of people who come to me are like, they want to do what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can tell you it's going to go, you'll take it, but let me hold your hand through it. So I've actually been working about a year on this master course that I'm getting ready to launch in October to take people through like that whole thing and teach them everything I know when it comes to setting up a website, how to take consultations and put yourself out there, maybe starting a podcast, maybe starting a blog, whatever it is that you can do to kind of get your name out there a little bit, doing guest features on other podcasts, like all of that stuff. Really, I want to help people, man. I want to make the most impact that I can and be as effective as I can where I am. And I feel like I want to transfer that stuff to other people. So that's what that's been consuming my time. I'll say that.
Yeah, you've been really effective with juggling a lot of different things. I've even said to Chris, like, because this podcast has become profitable, which is awesome, man. But I also am budgeting for certain things, you know what I mean? Because we have some great sponsors, and it's mainly just audio. I'll put up a video clip now and again, but the video aspect, I am completely ignorant on. I've done audio for the past 15 years of my life. So, like, I know all the ins and outs of that world. And I've even said to Chris, I'm like, once we get to, like, a visual aspect, I am hitting you up because, like, you do it right, man. Like, your video aspect is on point. Your live stream stuff is excellent. And, I know where you're coming from because people hit me up all the time, especially, with my previous gig of, I want to start a podcast. How do I get started? And there's so much that goes into it just from what I know. And nowadays it's like, you have to know the audio, you have to know the video. And I just don't know if I even have the time or patience to learn video the way that you have, because it's a lot.
I've been helping a lot of people lately, and ministries get off the ground, and I got them looking good,
Nice.
And, so it's really trying to like even put that together. And I enjoy doing it. Like, even though that's, it is a sense of creativity of creating something because I'm helping bring that to the table and giving it an aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. So there is some fulfillment as far as like creating something, because I'm a creator, music, songs, courses, podcasts, books, like just birthing something that didn't exist.
I love it. I do. I know
even though I'm helping them, I love doing it. Finished product,
It's such an awesome feeling, man. Like when I went on Instagram, actually, I think it was 2 days ago, and I know you're a Korn fan, because I think we've talked about this. And the first thing I see David Silvera from Korn wearing a Battleline Podcast shirt, holding up Chris's book, and it takes me back. I'm like, I saw Korn as like a 16-year-old at Madison Square Garden, and he is wearing a shirt of a podcast that I created out of thin air, with Chris just a few months ago. And it's like,
is he in studio?
No, not in studio. Not. So I could hook you up with him though, maybe if he's able to come on, because he's a great dude. But yeah, it's insane to me when I'm like, that creating something out of thin air. There's something out of, like when I worked at previous shows at Sirius XM, that is cool. But when I'm able to say, like, this is something that was in my mind and I made a reality, there's nothing like that.
Head texted me last night.
Yeah, that's right. You've had him on, right?
No, he's never been on the podcast.
But you spoke to him. Yeah.
We're friends.
Nice.
He texted me last night, but every time I'm still 14-year-old me, 13-year-old me, listening to Korn, and now like we're really good friends, and it still blows my mind. But that manifestation thing, and being able to create something that didn't exist and stuff, and so all things are possible to them that believe, man. And I'm a huge proponent of that.
It's all true, man. I know you got stuff to do, so it's TruthSeekah.com, Truth SEEKAH.com. At TruthSeekah on pretty much all social media. The podcast is the TruthSeekah podcast. The book is Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God. Great book. I read it cover to cover. Available on Amazon or Derek's website. And you know what? Actually, are you working on any new music that we should end with? Because last time we ended with a song. Anything that you're promoting that you think this audience will dig?
Oh man, you just pick a song. Whatever you want to play, pick the song, play it. I'm working on some stuff, but it's going to be months. But I am working on some stuff. writer's block is a demon, and I've been fighting that demon for a while. But here, last couple days, I've been making some traction on some stuff that I'm comfortable with, and some stuff that's just flowing. I don't have to force it. I don't want to force anything, but stepping into that flow, which I'm getting into. So you're gonna hear some new music from me soon, a couple months down the road. And if you're on Patreon, you'll get it as soon as it's done. That's kind of how that works. So there's some new stuff on there too. So.
Yeah, well, you're working on a ton of new things as people here, so I get it, man. But, dude, thanks for doing this. I know I actually hit you up kind of last minute, but it's always great talking with you, man. That's why I was like, we haven't had a lot of repeat guests yet, even though we're, 44 episodes into this thing. But I was like, we got to get Derek back on because it was a good conversation. I feel like we didn't cover a bunch of things that we got to cover this time, so.
Yeah, I mean, each talk has been beautiful, man. Thanks for having me. I love what you guys do. And keep it up, man. You're making an impact. I read those comments for sure, and they're really, really good. And that's why I know that's what keeps you guys going too. That and all the support, but those comments mean a lot, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And just trying to spread positivity, man.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, dude. And I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
All right, blessings.
All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed that. Wrapping things up here, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC-spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in every state, as well as direct online through fortscottmunitions.com. As I said in the intro, though, ammo is going fast right now. So get on there and look at what they have left, because week after week, they are out of stock on certain things, restocking on other things. You got to go to the website and give it a look. Use exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. That's one word, Battleline. Only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Tonto Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. I think there was a lot of interesting stuff we got into there. I think talking to Derek is always just a positive experience, and kind of resets certain things that I'm thinking about, and reinforces that there are people out there doing good things for other people, and I love hearing what he's up to. As promised, I'm going to end with something off the 333 album. That's my favorite album he's done. So I would suggest, if you guys like this, go to wherever you download music and buy the 333 album, because it helps him out. And he's great. And check out his book, and get a shirt from us as well. I always have the link in the description to get our Battleline shirts. Hope you are all doing well. And as always, be sure to keep up with us on all social media. And we'll be back next week with actually a special guest in studio. So stay tuned, and let's get right into TruthSeekah.
What causes people to fail and what causes people to succeed is whether or not they truly get in the presence and under the influence of the Holy Spirit and get His dream for their life. If I lay here, won't you lie with me? Just forget to lay here. Won't you lie with me? Just forget to lay here. I'm inside, I'm a spiritual high, and I'm being led by the Spirit of God. Jah, only divine can interpret the signs of all the things that wander and all the things we find that hide. Come and walk up in the Spirit as we travel, as our destinies unravel. Take my hand as we enter the chasm, follow Christ to a place unfathom. Look inside as we fly like the eagle, to the skies up high whenever we go. Lose yourself and become another John Doe, and never be afraid to let go of the ego. Look inside as we fly like the eagle, to the skies up high whenever we go. Lose yourself and become another John Doe, and never be afraid to let go of the ego. warm embrace. I'm taken to a place where I feel your grace. Alleviate my fears cause I never felt safe. Let me sit at your feet, let me stare at your face. And into a world of the soon hereafter. Into a plane where the angels gather. Turning to a land where the mind is baffled. And healing comes from the joyous laughter. I'ma right my wrongs and when my wrongs are right, I'ma get a quick glimpse of the afterlife. Into not by power, into not by might, but of the blood of Hamashiach, of the blood of Christ. I'ma right my wrongs and when my wrongs are right, I'ma get a quick glimpse of the afterlife. Into not by power, into not by might, but of the blood of Hamashiach, of the blood of Christ. Won't you lie with me and just forget the way? Won't you lie with me and just forget the way? Won't you lie with me and just forget the way? You take me there and then you see me through. We do the type of things only lovers do. Find my way, find my truth. You restore the passion of the right pursuit. And look inside and define with your eyes closed. Follow God as we travel the cosmos. Filled with your presence to the brim, to the uttermost. I feel the spirit of my God, Holy Ghost. Close my eyes, body goes numb, and it's no surprise I'm coming undone. United by the spirit and all are one. Staring at the beauty of 1,000 suns. Close my eyes, body goes numb, and it's no surprise I'm coming undone. United by the spirit and all are one. Staring at the beauty of 1,000 suns.
Dreams. You will, when you're under the influence of the Holy Spirit, you will have a dream. You will have a vision. You will see it. You will say it. For where there is no vision, the people cast off all restraint.
Won't you lie with me and just forget the way? Won't you lie with me? Just forget the way.
Where there is no hope in the future,
That's all for this episode of the Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.